Monday Night Football is here, and if this one isn't a shootout, I don't know what will be, with Cardinals-Cowboys coming up. Massive total, but a situation where we're going to do the prep work like we always do here on the Splash Play channels for our Monday and our Thursday showdown games. We're going to dig in and compare projections from our friends, in particular, over at Stochastic. We'll see what the top plays are right now, according to projections, what the top values are as well. We'll check out what the ownership data looks like right now as well. We'll hop over across the aisle, see what ETR thinks about things. What's your cash game lineup for the showdown tonight, along with whatever sims they have available, if they have them available. We'll hop back to Stochastic, see some sims on there, the best ROI lineups. By in this video, you know, 3 ways to get unique on tonight's slate. So let's get into it here. I hope it was a lovely, wait, why am I over here? I hope it was a lovely slate for you guys this week. One of my better weeks this season, so happy for that. A lot of lineups that scored over 200 points. Unfortunately, a lot of the chalk also hit, so that's how that goes. But we got Caleb right, got Kyle Monangai right, who, if you missed on Friday, I talked about DeAndre Swift being a player I liked a lot. He got ruled out shortly after the must plays video that immediately popped to the Discord once we found out. Said immediately, as soon as I could, Kyle Monangai, or Monangai, I think I'm supposed to say it, looked like one of the best plays of the week, and he was probably one of the best value plays we will have in NFL for the rest of the year. We'll see. But a guy that's been a killer, went for 175 rushing yards, put up a massive fantasy total without a touchdown. I think it was a fun slate, so hopefully it was fun for you guys. But let's get into this one here. It's a new day if it wasn't fun for you as well. We got 25.3 implied points for Arizona today. We are getting Jacoby Brissett starting again, it looks like, because Kyler Murray soft benching is the whispers out there. But he has a foot injury, and they could slow roll it because of the fact that Brissett has played so well. You know, that said, we've already had 2 Brissett starts, one also bye week for Kyler Murray to get healthy, and he's still not out there. So it is what it is. Dallas, though, 28.3 implied points on their side. They are a 3-point favorite at home here. Matchup against Dallas's defense, one of the best in football. You guys likely know that at this stage of things. Matchups against Arizona, a little bit less easy to go through sometimes. Passing D, not great, but still much better than Dallas at 0.05 EPA per dropback allowed by Arizona. For comparison, Dallas, one of the worst defenses in football, with a 0.19 EPA per dropback allowed. Run game for Arizona also stiffens up pretty well. Negative 0.07 EPA per rush allowed there. For contrast, the Cowboys giving a 0.06 EPA on the positive side. So should be a spot here where Arizona can do more defensively, but Dallas has one of the highest powered offenses in football, and ownership, I think, is going to be really high for the Cowboys today. So let's see what we got in terms of the projections. Dak Prescott, a top projected guy right now, according to Stochastic, a 21.9 projection for him at his 10.4 salary. I would say relative to some of the showdowns we've had lately, pretty reasonable price tag for Dak Prescott here. Again, the matchup for Arizona, it's not a bad one, but it is pretty much league average to be giving up that 0.05 EPA per dropback, 0.06 EPA per pass that Arizona's giving up. Of course, Dallas, one of the most aggressive offenses in football. Dak also playing incredibly well for his part in it. 0.14 EPA per dropback for him, 86% catchable ball rate, getting the ball where it's supposed to. Less deep shots than I would think at 3.8 a game. That's basically average. But still, offense is running well. Dak Prescott, a guy that's going to be a key vessel for it. I think you're going to get him in a lot of teams today, would be my guess, with him being the top projected guy. And he and Jacoby Brissett, you're only 2 players over 20 fantasy points in terms of Stochastic projections here. Dak might get played a little bit less than Brissett because Brissett is crazy cheap at the $8,600 price tag he has on tonight's DraftKings slate. But both QBs, I think, are going to make it their way into a lot of lineups. And I would say a decent chance that playing max 1 QB might be one way to get unique. Obviously, you know, in a shootout game, you do expect both to get there, but if you capture the running game correctly, my guess is going to be that's going to be one way to get unique on the slate, but we'll see what we get from the rest of the process here. Jacoby Brissett, $8,600 salary for him. Again, way too cheap for a guy that has passed for, I believe it's 275 yards in one start, over 300 in the second start. He's not super accurate. 75% catchable ball rate would be towards the bottom part of the league, but it is still a spot where he's throwing deep 6 times a game. He's seeing pressure 52% of the time. So this is one thing I'll say with Jacoby Brissett. I think he's a really good play today. I think he's been a better QB than Kyler Murray has this year, and frankly, in terms of passing production these last 2 games, like, we really haven't seen Kyler have that sort of passing upside very often in his entire career. He runs, that's great, but, like, you know, he's not really creating obvious stacking value. But for Jacoby Brissett, the biggest thing that I think stands out is that he's seeing pressure on 52% of dropbacks. He's handled it incredibly well. Only a negative 0.4 EPA on those plays, 4% sack rate. We're talking about pretty good numbers, you know, average numbers at worst. But the Cowboys, even though they have the secondary that's so bad, they are pressuring 30% of the time, hurrying the QB on 16%. So like we always talk about in the show, when teams drop back a lot, that creates volatility. Titans D yesterday, good example of that, where the Chargers still won, but because Herbert dropped back so much, because there were some fuck-ups, there's also a return touchdown too. You saw the Titans D end up having more production than you would think. That's what dropbacks and pressure create in terms of the volatility of, how a slate can go. So to me, I think thinking about Cowboys defense a little bit, even if you play Brissett, might be a decent move. I think in lineups where you don't play Brissett, thinking more about the Cowboys, maybe they somehow really upset this passing game. This is a spot where they stop running so bad as a secondary, maybe create pressure. But because Brissett is so cheap and the projection looks so good, that ownership's going to be really high. Steven, I feel like you deserve fucking 5-minute timeout for this. Greetings, all those whose elbows are in the proper joint location this morning. Yeah, poor Jaden, his left elbow yesterday dislocated, apparently negative on the bone injuries, but they're checking for ligament damage. Not looking great for him to play again this year. So Steven dunking on me early. Not what I expect from one of our regulars. Gift of the Dallas D that keeps on giving. I am sure a lot of people will be thinking that. I appreciate the kind chats as well. Hope you guys are all having a good day here. And a guide, show up and do the work, of course, Mondays and Thursdays for these showdown slates. Friday, our must-plays video and the premium video where we go game by game. So join the channel here. Of course, it does support and go a long way if you hit that like button, subscribe, and of course, join the Discord as well. If you join the channel, you get access to the Discord, and the $5 tier gets you also my data sheet, that premium video every week. So pretty good deal. All right, CeeDee Lamb, your third highest projected guy here, 10-8 salary for him. The biggest thing that stands out in last week's data was that he only ran one more route in the slot than Kevontae Turpin did, which is kind of odd. That said, had way more targets in the slot. The big issue that I would have with it is that CeeDee Lamb, most of his value comes from being a slot forward player. That's where he's the most efficient. That's also, part of what he is as a player, where CeeDee Lamb, if you're playing him out wide all the time, like he's not Jamar Chase. I mean, he's not Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's that. Personally, maybe I think a lot of people who care about the stuff would probably agree. I don't think he's that caliber of player in terms of just creating separation and all of that. That said, for CeeDee Lamb, when he's playing out the slot, he's great. And he's really one of the best slot players in the world. And he can do both, but I just don't think he's as good playing outside very often. So I think that for how it looks right now with CeeDee Lamb, he's a guy that I expect to get into a lot of lineups. I do think it is a decent match for Pickens as well outside. A lot of efficiency given up by Arizona outside, even though the target rate definitely favors the slot. Arizona forcing targets to the slot with a 55% target rate there. For comparison, only 21% of opponent targets have gone out wide against Arizona. So that immediately screams slot looking more beneficial. I would just love CeeDee Lamb to get the full run of that at this price tag and with so many options to play on the slate. So CeeDee Lamb, your third highest projected guy. Again, I have no issue with him, but at 10-8, I think there's a thing you critique for him, and that's that he's now splitting slot work with Kevontae Turpin for really no particular reason. Number 4 here, Trey McBride. I will say right away, and I like Brissett, like Dak Prescott, like CeeDee Lamb enough. If there's one guy I would consider unfadable on the slate, and look, we all know how that goes. I'm sure a lot of people will think the exact same thing today. It's Trey McBride. It's why you have my O face here on the thumbnail with Trey McBride. He's a strong play. He's commanding 12 targets per game in the last 2 games with Jacoby Brissett starting. You could certainly have a spot where you get Marvin Harrison going nuts or something. Like Dallas's defense is bad enough. That could be the case. But if any sort of competitive game here, which the total being only a 3-point spread in a game where both teams are expected to put up 3-4 touchdowns, it should be competitive. I think Trey McBride, to me, feels like he has to make the winning lineup. And we have had this happen before on showdowns where guys like Puka Nacua have been like a guy where I'm like, fuck, he's got to make a winning lineup. He's going to have a good game no matter what. I think Puka put up 22.5 fantasy points in that spot. Didn't make the winning lineup because there were enough guys that scored around that range at cheaper, and you could fit them all in if you didn't play Puka. That's the only way I think Trey McBride doesn't make a winning lineup tonight, besides, I guess, Arizona cratering relative to the total. I just think he's a really strong player right now. Dallas bad at defending tight ends, giving up a high rate of targets to tight ends and an efficient defense there, which Dallas is pretty much everywhere, so it's not a surprise. Slot 2, Dallas gives up a little bit less targets, but still inefficient there. If they force the ball to Trey McBride, he's going to win. He's going to do really well, and he's got 3 touchdowns the last 2 games with Brissett too. So any sort of negative touchdown run that McBride has had in his career, you maybe throw it all at the feet of Kyler Murray. But look, if you want to be a chalk donkey like me, I think you play a lot of Trey McBride. Don't worry about it. He's the one guy here where, like, even in builds where I try to get creative, think about fading the Cardinals, something like that, I still think McBride has a pretty good shot of getting there. So $9K salary for him. Love it. Too cheap for a guy like him. He's great. Javonte Williams, 10K salary for him, going against an Arizona defense that's actually pretty good. Also pretty good in the red zone as well. Negative EPA there, 0.12. So for how it looks for me for Arizona, and this really the slate overall, I like a lot of the pass game stuff. I'm willing to move away from running backs more. Arizona's got a mucked up running back situation of their own with Michael Carter Jr., who got released. He went to the practice squad. He's back on the team again. He split snaps basically 50-50 last week with Bam Knight. Amari DiMercado basically not in the mix at all. I'm pretty cool not playing any of the RBs. And if, ownership seems like that's how most people be playing, then it's probably worth considering them more. But Javonte Williams looks really chalky. I think people think he is good, and I'm not sure that's actually the case. I think he's part of the upside of this passing game here. Like, it's been better for him as a result of how much of a threat the pass game is. And just, you got to keep people honest, I think, with the run. But for Javonte here, it's a nice projection at 17.5. 10K salary, though, I would rather pay for CeeDee Lamb. I'd rather pay for Prescott, rather pay for Brissett, rather pay for Trey McBride. And I don't think the ownership is going to be discounted enough to sort of change how I'm viewing that. Who did I fillet to sort of my like button to an animated football? I presume that's just because of the branding, though I am like on some sort of YouTube community thing now or some partnership. I don't know. I'm like on some new tier of partnership. Shout out Updog being here, where they send me swag and they also give me like advice, and I have a special support email. So I don't know. I guess I'm influential enough to get a football thing on my scroll, but not influential enough to make like money. that's the trade-off. But no, it's I don't know, moving up the YouTube food chain perhaps little by little, fractionally. Not on YouTube NFL broadcasts yet. So that's the dream. Though YouTube's losing, by the way, if you guys have YouTube TV, stream East today, because YouTube TV will not have Monday Night Football on it. ESPN, Disney, not in a carriage deal with YouTube TV, because YouTube TV doesn't usually want to pay the rising rates for all of the providers out there, and they're not doing it. So people will blame YouTube TV for it, but I think they actually negotiate mostly on the consumer's end more than a lot of other providers do. And ESPN's in bed with Hulu too, so it's all a fucking mess. They have their own app. It's a bad time to enjoy content. But keep in mind, just stream it illegally. Streameast.ga is what I'd recommend, or NFL Byte, another one that usually works too. You could find illegal streams, or pirate stream. I shouldn't be saying illegal things at all, but you can find those streams pretty easily on those two sites. And I care about you guys more than I do not getting demonetized for one video, I guess. Hunter Lupke. I don't know why YouTube gives me the football now that I I've told you where to go pirate things. Hunter Lupke, $400 salary. He does get out there a decent amount overall. You have to suck at the internet. I agree, but a lot of people get overwhelmed by piracy, and I support you guys pirating certain things when you need to. There are some things where I have access to like the streaming, like I pay for the streaming company. Like WWE when it was on Peacock was one where it's like I would watch the illegal stream sometimes because Peacock as an app doesn't work well and you can't start late and then go to the beginning. So I get it. That's always the case, guys. It may not seem like it when I yell at you in chat. I care about you guys more than I do anything else. Hunter Lupke here, though. He's going to be in the mix. Some amount here blocking mostly. Lupke, snap count-wise, last time Dallas played, 13 snaps. Not the kind of guy you're super excited to get. Does occasionally get a shot at scoring a touchdown or a red zone opportunity or a target. Hunter Lupke at a 1.8 projection. He's your top value technically, even though he's not a very exciting value to go to. Like Seattle yesterday, Cody White caught a touchdown. I played him in the showdown lineups. I did two because I usually at Sunday night. I'm like, I don't want to fucking put in a lot. And of course, it was fun rooting for the Commanders on that slate. But for how that looked like, you had a real opportunity because you had no Cooper Kupp in that game. For the Cowboys, everybody's healthy. They want Jaden Blue to do more. I don't know why you'd really want to go to Hunter Lupke besides the fact he might pop a little bit if you're playing a 150 max. Elijah Higgins, 1K salary for him. He's another guy vaguely in the mix, but does catch passes enough. 32 snaps the last time that he played before the bye week, 33 the week before that. No reason to think that Higgins is going to be out of the mix here. So I would say at his 1K salary, that looks a little bit better. That said, Higgins still only getting 1.6 targets a game, 0.3 of which have been inside in the red zone. That said, for Higgins, he does get mostly inline tight end targets. Dallas, pretty bad versus inline tight ends. Would not shock me to see Higgins have a big play, and maybe that's a touchdown here. It's one thing I've been trying to really train my brain on, because normally for me, when I see the matchup stuff where it's like, oh, this team allows a lot of targets to inline tight ends, and they're really inefficient at it, I always think it's going to benefit the best player, but in reality, it benefits the backup. It benefits a guy who runs one route a game. So for Elijah Higgins, he's actually playing 30 snaps, and running 9 routes a game. He might score a touchdown today because the Cowboys are that bad defending anything, but in particular defending inline tight end, where Higgins gets all of his targets. Kevontae Turpin, again, played a lot of slot last week for Dallas, still not particularly good at it, but he does have some return upside as well, does have some gimmick play upside. Kevontae Turpin, a 5.1 projection at a 2K salary. If he told me that Higgins and Turpin scored a touchdown, I think there's a chance they would make a winning lineup because they probably allow you to get to all the expensive guys around that. There's room for these guys, I think, as values. Lukey, I see the least out of the group. Jacoby Brissett, his salary too cheap. He's your number 4 value. And Michael Wilson, who mostly sucks, but is still out there enough. Last game, he played 62 snaps. Game before that, 55. For comparison, Marvin Harrison, 65 snaps that last game, was concussed the game before that. So he's basically playing as many snaps as Harrison is. Definitely should be a tier ahead. Your Greg Dortches and all that. Dortch only played 7 snaps the game before last. Zay Jones played 41. That's sort of the route share you always want to try to target if you can. The Showdown's a little bit different, but want to get as many routes as possible. Michael Wilson gives you a lot of routes. Zay Jones gives you the second most routes. Greg Dortch, barely any routes, but he can get out there mostly if somebody gets hurt or, I mean, that's probably it. Jaden Blue, not a bad value as well. Your 6th highest guy, but Jaden Blue at this point, I don't know what you're getting from him. I do think Javonte struggles, so maybe that gets Jaden Blue out there a little bit more. Let's go to ownership next. Refresh this. And guys, show some love if you can. Hit that like button. I appreciate all you guys who did watch the week 8 or week 9 must plays video. Hitting the like button here. I'm trying to fight the YouTube algorithm, and I've probably been not doing a good enough job reminding you guys that it is important for me as a solo creator to get that algorithm on my side. So please help me out if you watch the video, you get any value out of it, and if you're just going to fade everything I do, I'm still here doing the work for you guys. Mondays and Thursdays, Fridays for the main slate, premium video as well. So please help me out. Hit the like button, subscribe. Let's help keep moving the numbers in the right direction because I keep doing this work literally all season. So I am strapped in, strap in and strap on with me here. And of course, Stochastic, all the data I show you here on screen, if you want to check it out for yourself, promo code SPLASH or the link in the description will get you there. And that goes to, if you want to take any of the deals I ever have, just click my link in the description, then take their deal. But right now, it's 15% off. Should be the best deal they have going because it's in perpetuity, number one. And second of all, I don't think they have any other deals going right now. So all the cheap stuff, all the expensive stuff, 15% off at Stochastic. And half the money you pay to them comes back to me. So it's a big way I'm able to do what I do. And October was my biggest affiliate month ever. So I would like to keep that moving because it starts to make me feel like I can do more if we keep making money. And the summer's lean, guys. With MLB and me not doing a lot of content for that, I'm like a fucking bear. I need to get ready for hibernation this summer. Make my money now. So please click the link, do that stuff. Are your top owned players right now, according to Stochastic data? Number 1, Dak Prescott, 72% expected ownership for him, 18% at captain. StreamEast has not been seized by the government. They have a million URLs. The one I gave you today, StreamEast.ga, is the one they currently are using. For Dak Prescott, he is going to come up a lot for sure for people today. Certainly if you are playing one of the Cowboys pass catchers a captain, would think that he'll also come up a good amount in the flex. I do think, though, that he and Brissett, at least in terms of how the 2 games we've seen from Brissett, I'd rather play Brissett at that price tag. Would like to have that be the thing. That said, for Dak, I think you're going to find a lot of people thinking exactly like this, which is not super contrarian, but decent expectation of an outcome relative to the Cowboys total of Dak, 3 touchdowns, lock at captain. I think it'd be insane to lock anybody at captain, but I do think if you're going to play him at captain, make sure you're putting at least 1 pass catcher, ideally 2, honestly 3, just how the slate's going to go. Again, your first thought, whether you're first Kings of the chat, whether you're me doing the stream here on this side of things, everybody's thought is usually going to be very similar to a lot of people's on a showdown slate, on a main slate. That's how, evolved the field is / what chalk is. Chalk is just good plays. Dak Prescott on the slate, a good play. He'll be very highly played as a result, and very highly played at captain in particular for a QB. So just something to keep in mind here. Number 2 is Jacoby Brissett, 67% expected ownership, 15% at captain. That seems like a lot of ownership at captain for Brissett. He's cheap enough that he'll allow you to get in there if you want to put him at captain, play McBride, plus 1 pass catcher, play CD plus Dak. You might be able to fit that as well. I think Brissett gets a little bit overplayed at captain. That said, it's easier to kind of make that lineup work, and I think makes sense to me, where you'll lose some ownership by putting Brissett at captain, playing a Marvin Harrison with McBride. If you were to fade McBride and somehow hit on Harrison plus one of the RBs plus maybe Michael Wilson would have to get there. Elijah Higgins maybe catches a touchdown, that kind of build. McBride somehow fails. I think that's possible. There's a lot of unique ways to build a Brissett captain and still, you're playing good chalk around it, but getting a little bit less owned. So personally for me, I'd rather play Brissett at captain over Dak. And frankly, the chat I just pulled up is the reason why. People are just going to be like, Dak, ugh! And I get it. Like Dak's dropping back a lot. It's exciting. The team too is kind of struggling with their identity. Dallas is. It's possible you might see them try to run more because there's been coach quotes from Schottenheimer within the last couple of weeks about how they are still losing games, even though this offense so historically does want to hear about their great success in the pass game because they're losing everything. At a certain point, insanity, just doing it over and over again, that kind of thing. It's not the expression, but that's the short version of it. It's possible that the pass rate could flip a little bit today because of them being cognizant of the fact that they're not winning with what they've been doing. CeeDee Lamb, 54% ownership overall, 16% in captain, both of which seem totally fair for me. QB is a lot more reasonably priced. CeeDee Lamb, I just worry about the slot work, but we've talked enough about that for today. Not great to see Turpin getting a lot of work. We got Trey McBride here, 47% ownership, 11% in captain. I like the number overall, like the price tag for him. Again, McBride, he's on the thumbnail. I'm being as transparent as I could be. McBride will be in a lot of my lineups today. I think he's the best play in the slate. That said, if you just go through the box scores, people think the exact same thing. So, that's that. Okay, that's whatever. I don't have to read every chat. We got, 5 Javon. I'll just pull up the chat here for First Kings. Jacoby throwing 3 picks. I'm not playing him. I guarantee after the Harrison touchdown, he falls off the grid. Games don't happen the exact way that you're predicting it in your head. It's insane to think that what you're trying to do when you're and look, I'll say this to him, to all you guys out there, and this guy will probably get mad at me because he thinks he's a genius. You're just trying to aim for it's like if you're jumping out of a plane. Every DFS slate should be you trying to aim for the biggest swath of land that has a shot of keeping you alive. That's what you're trying to do when you find these plays. You're not trying to pinpoint a game where Brissett throws 3 picks and the defense gets there and Harrison's the first touch. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not the way to think about this. You could tell yourself a story with a lineup in as much as Jacoby Brissett is at captain because he's going to throw 3 touchdowns, 2 of which go to McBride, 1 of which goes to Harrison. You could tell yourself that kind of story. Don't tell yourself the exact story and go, this is how it's going to go, because that's an insane way to gamble. Absolutely insane. If you're only playing one lineup, that's just not what I would do, but follow your hearts. It's your money, guys. That's what I always say here. People love their single game parlays. That's true. So that way you could bet 3 interceptions or the over on interceptions for Jacoby, and then the over on touchdowns for Harrison, and the over on yard. Fucking Christ. Javonte Williams, 44% ownership expected, 9% in captain. Looking like a lot of Javonte here. I'm pretty comfortable moving away from that number. That said, for Javonte here, he's been playing well. He's getting good work, and he does kind of rise to the tide of Dallas. So I have no issue if you like Javonte more than I do. It doesn't look like a great matchup on paper. That said, if Dallas runs ahead, if they run hot, if Arizona doesn't show up to play here today, and Jacoby Brissett returns to a pumpkin, it's more of a backup QB caliber player. I think Javonte is a much higher shot at getting there. So playing it in a competitive build, I'm not so crazy about Javonte. Playing it in a 5-1 Cowboys onslaught, playing Javonte even at captain in that kind of situation, I think that works. We would never win, Chris, if these people and their philosophies did not exist. That's true. I always want to try to at least tell people how I view things and why they're, shake them a little bit. And, people are still going to gamble how they gamble. But if you watch every video, I think you'll hopefully grow along with me. And that's what this is all about, guys. Whether you're on my side of things, I'm trying to get better at what I'm doing every day. And that's, the Sims coming the most last few years, it's thrown my process off. And a lot of what I'm trying to do now is focus on hand building, things that still sim well. It's been working for me. It's important for you guys out there to find what works. I think for a lot of people, though, getting too caught up in, this is exactly what I think is going to happen, and I have to play it exactly like this. It just doesn't work. The same thing I talked about before. I love Trey McBride today. Will it shock me if Elijah Higgins goes for 50 and a touchdown and fucks it up for McBride? No, because that's the same matchup for that guy. That's the world of infinite outcomes that occurs in football. But anyway, I've ranted enough. I can't rant against people every video. Guys that are 15% owned, I guess guys that are 20 because we got enough. Michael Carter here. The workload, again, was really close last week with Bam Knight. Bam Knight will get the first crack. Bam Knight will get the goal line work. But Michael Carter, decent pass catcher, all of that. Okay. For Devontae Turpin, again, getting good slot work overall, 19% ownership here. Definitely in play in the flex, not a crazily good play at captain unless he somehow banks multiple touchdowns, I guess. Cowboys D, do you think there is something to how much Brissett is taking pressure? And the Cowboys D, as bad as they are as a secondary, they are getting home to the QB and hurrying the QB a lot. We got you're 100% certain. I'm gonna make you take a lap just because it's fucking insane to say you're 100% certain or anything. And I need you to learn. I need you to learn. Like, you can't, if you're 100% certain in gambling, you're gonna lose. That's how it goes. I'm doing this for you. First Kings TV. I'm sure you're selling a Discord somewhere. It's crushing. Elijah Higgins, 10% ownership. Jaden Blue, 11. I think Higgins to me appeals a little bit more. He's on the field a good amount. Tight end matchup's really good. That's basically that. That's exactly it. Showdowns like a lotto. The more you make peace with that, the better off you'll do in showdowns. Really, DFS in general at this stage is a lotto. You just want to build the best lotto tickets you possibly can. But for all you guys out there, like just don't be that guy. I'm 100% certain. Come back, I'll tell you, shut up. He's got the script in advance. Zay Jones, Ryan Flournoy, Cardinals D, other low-owned guys, Luke Schumacher, Greg Dortch. I mean, out of all these guys at this point, Carter stands out the most, I think. Turpin in the mix, both defenses being low-owned. Both teams drop back a lot. Dropping back increases the volatility of how a defense can perform. Just always keep that in mind here, but both are going to be unowned. Cardinals D, not bad. Cowboys D, I think a little more logic just based on what I'm seeing here. The pressure stuff for Cowboys D, like they can give up touchdowns and still get a pick six, can still get a couple sacks. I think that's a possibility. Let's go to the solver next. We'll see again what the other side of the aisle has for us here. Politically, try to be Switzerland on this show because there's a lot of merits to your stochastic data, a lot of merits to your ETR data as well. Let's go default settings here. So we get the cash game build. And of course, the part of this process, guys, the point of this is to see where the projections drive people to. And you might have a thing where you think you're building unique lineups, but ultimately because the projection math is driving people towards, let's say, a Cardinals 5-1, I don't think it's going to happen. But like because that happens sometimes, you want to be aware of that. What we talked about yesterday, or really on Friday rather, and I talked about it yesterday too, on the Stochastic Live before Lock Show, you were getting naturally a lot of Niners, Giants stacks, game stacks because of the way the projections were working, both with ETR data and stochastics. So when you know that, it's like, I probably don't want to game stack the Giants-Niners game, and that would have been a correct thing to do. That's sort of what you're trying to find by the process of just seeing where projections push people towards. So just keep that in mind. But right now, your cash game lineup, and this is with no variance on, just the ETR projections. Devontae Turpin at captain. That is not what I would have expected for a cash game build. CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott makes it. Javonte Williams makes it. Jacoby Brissett makes it. Bam/Zonovan Knight makes it at a 7K salary. Really do think that Michael Carter, a nice pivot for Zonovan Knight. If those guys are going to be, I'll give you the exact snap counts here because I want to always be accurate to the decimal if we can. Bam Knight played 34 snaps last game, 37 the week before that. Michael Carter last game, 28 snaps, 32 the week before that. That's like as close to 50-50, 55-45 as you could possibly get. So I think Bam Knight's going to project better. Again, he does have the best shot at goal line work. But if Michael Carter breaks some runs, becomes the hot hand, you can very easily usurp Zonovan Knight / Bam Knight. I have to keep saying both names because Zonovan's on the screen. In my opinion, I would try to get, if you're like playing, you're playing probably one of them, I would try to get equal amounts of both. I just think the outcomes are very similar. Vague chance both could make a winning lineup too, though. If the Cardinals are scoring a lot of rushing touchdowns, it might be a thing where one of them scores more. But I think you could play both. I think you could play one. I think you could play either. I think that's sort of how I feel about these guys, where they're probably going to be a little bit under-owned. And I think Javonte Williams is a little bit over-owned, but that's me. Overall, in the top 25 lineups, Dak Prescott is in all of them. Jacoby Brissett's in all of them. So if you're fading Jacoby Brissett and his guaranteed 3 interceptions, maybe you'll do well today. But both QBs in every lineup means that we are probably underplaying, low-scoring outcomes, kicker-friendly outcomes, running back-friendly outcomes. So it is a lot of Dak and Brissett coming up naturally. So just be aware of that. CeeDee Lamb in 76% of lineups, nothing really noteworthy there. Devontae Turpin getting in a lot, though. I don't think you would actually want to play 56% Turpin, but he is coming up a lot here as a play that seems optimal in ETR data. Player stacks, nothing too noteworthy. Stack construction. 80% of teams have 3 or more Cowboys. 20% of these top 25 go 4-2 Cardinals. We're not really getting onslaughts coming up naturally, so that's a positive, whether you're playing a Cardinals onslaught or a Cowboys one. Just based on the totals, I would say like more people will play Cowboys onslaughts if there are any, but I'm pretty comfortable trying out Cardinals ones too because the Cowboys defense is that bad. Yeah, I think people will be playing mostly Cowboys dominant lineups, but that's not a surprise given the fact that they're the home team and also they are the favorite. And have a gigantic total too. Really all the stuff. All right, so we're going to run a sim here. Let me pull in my showdown settings. We'll put in 3 uniques per. Let's get rid of max ownership. And we'll just make not 50K lineups because 50K lineups will often get duped way too much. All right. Solver gave me like 1 million Flournoy lineups. I was confused. I mean, they must have moved it around because now it seems like it's Turpin. Flournoy has been a lot better than Turpin, but Turpin's role seems to be getting better and Flournoy's is getting worse. So I don't know. Is this a fade D game? No, because they're not owned. It's going to be a fade D game for everybody. So for you, if you're playing a 20 max or especially a 150, you should want to get some of the defenses. I think in particular Cowboys, because again, a lot of pressure being created. We do have Brissett dropping back a lot, trying to take deep shots. They're sacking guys at a good rate. But Arizona's defense is better, so I think there's a case to play both. But anytime you have defenses both being like 10% played, it's worth the shot. Some people might feel differently. Like I know there are some, I was talking with Laffy last Monday night with the Commanders D, and like Commanders D was coming a lot for Stochastic in their sims because basically wasn't getting played, and there's obviously many outcomes where defense can make it. You know, and for the first quarter and a half, I mean, basically almost the entire first half, Commanders D was captain against Mahomes on Monday, and then obviously Mahomes found his depth in the second half. Commanders D did not make a winning lineup, but it hung in there enough that if things continue to break weirdly for an entire game, any defense could make it. So I certainly wouldn't full fade the defenses because everybody's going to do that. So, you know, sort of how it goes. All right, finishing building out these lineups here. Putting 3 uniques on does make it slower, but I think it'll give us some better results. So I'll slog it out with you guys, but one more ask here. Please do show some love. Hit that like button, subscribe. Again, it goes a long way for me here. Just one dude showing you my gambling, and my goal here is to show you guys some of the top products out there, some of the top data. There's other ones as well. Saber Sim does a great job. Run the Sim does a great job. Roto Grinders used to do an okay job. They're still out there. I'm sure people use them. That's what you probably could do for yourself if you want to kind of get a read on how everybody across the industry is going to play lineups tonight. But do the best I can to show you guys using the 2 tools that I have access to, what you're getting in a given slate. So again, just show some love, subscribe, hit the like button, do all that. And if you want to get access to my data, of course, the premium stream every Friday as well, join the channel. $5 to join. You get access to the Discord too, where you can kvetch about your lineups. You can victory lap your high advance rates, whatever you want to do. But do check it out. Roto Grinders just bots now. Yeah, it's a little sad. A little sad. Let's see. Brandon Aubrey captain, a little bit more insane. Definitely more insane. I think relative to kickers, there would be probably more Aubrey played than most kickers. I feel like he's kind of your new Justin Tucker, where the ownership's a little bit higher because people know, that guy's good. And Brandon Aubrey, as far as I know, he's not going to the massage parlors like Justin Tucker did to get himself kicked out of the league, basically. So, or not kicked out of the league, but he lost his job at the Ravens, and now he's probably not going to get back in the league. Brandon Aubrey, I think, will get played probably a little bit more than your average kicker generally. He's not coming up so far in the data, but we'll see what Stochastic gives us. I would say casual players, though, probably more inclined to play Brandon Aubrey than most, but at captain, nobody's going to really play him that much. And I will say the Cardinals defense, negative EPAs in the red zone, versus the run and versus the pass. It's possible the Cowboys drives just stall out. They get success moving the ball between the 20s, stall out enough, and obviously they're happy to kick with Aubrey anywhere on the field. And frankly, with Cam Little hitting that field goal, maybe it's time for Aubrey to dust off his 70-yarder because he can hit, I think, from 70 to 75. In the right situation, who knows? Not that you get more points for that. Fortunately, you would still only get 50 points, but be pretty sick, right? to have that. But I'll say conceptually, Aubrey does seem interesting because you're getting so much pass game, and pass game stalling out. That's how field goals get kicked. All right, we're almost done with this lineup build here. course, the solver, combination of an optimizer, like your classic fantasy cruncher, which, by the way, if you ever guys want to dig into a weird Twitter handle, that guy's completely gone off the deep end, apparently. He had, like, his identity stolen or something. Fantasy cruncher's always cool by me, or at least I didn't get on the bad side. And I had free access for a while, so shout out to them. But that guy's a fucking... that guy's going through it. Well, if we're going to be generous about it. All right, we're simming it out here. Not sure there's many field goals in the game. Too many touchdowns for kickers to score enough. That's not the way to think about it, Kyle. We have a gigantic total here. What happens when you don't score touchdowns? The drive stalls out. You kick a field goal. That's the whole point. When you have a high total, that means a higher chance for kickers to actually kick an outlier number of field goals. Like, I get expecting there's going to be a lot of touchdowns. The point, and what I'm trying to say over and over again, everybody's going to expect a lot of touchdowns. I expect a lot of touchdowns, and I have all the data in the world that, like, helps guide my process. You expect a lot of touchdowns. You're doing whatever prep work you're doing. Anybody who's going to play the slate is going to think there's a lot of touchdowns. You win money when there isn't a lot of touchdowns and there's a lot of field goals, like, assuming the kicker isn't super high owned, and that seems like it's going to be the case. I don't know, legal issues. He was like accusing people of being pedophiles and stuff with his dog. I don't know what the fuck. There's a lot of things, but he also used to just like yell at customers and stuff on Twitter. And then I don't know what's going on now. But I think he got his identity stolen, is what he was saying. Got top ROI lineups here. Number 1, Zonovan Knight. So again, same thing here. Everybody expects a pass game dominant build, but you're getting a running back captain in ETR's number 1 lineup. Zonovan Knight, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, George Pickens, Brandon Aubrey, Cowboys D. 5-1 onslaught with the captain as the opposing team. Usually not the way that you want to play a 5-1 onslaught. Generally 5-1 with the bring back being a pass catcher who gains upside from being in a blowout situation, or, you know, running back 2 who maybe got there and get some PPR points. That's usually how that goes. But in this kind of build, I guess it'd be like Cardinals get there early and Cowboys just beat up on them after the fact. Number 2 ROI lineup would be CeeDee Lamb at captain. A lot of Cardinals here. Brissett, Zonovan Knight, Carter. So both RBs make this lineup right away. Michael Wilson makes it as well. Dak Prescott makes it. So you're easy, going to happen a lot. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott lineup. This also has 44 dupes, and it still has this high of an ROI. So this lineup is pretty good, but duped out the ass. So even if it does win, there'll definitely be a train there. I mean, obviously, you'd be happy to split. Was it 500K to first today? You'd be happy to split that 44 ways, but 44 dupes here probably means like 100 dupes practically. This one's only got 5 dupes. Zonovan Knight at captain. Dak Prescott makes this one. Javonte Williams makes this one. George Pickens. So we're fading CeeDee Lamb in this, along with Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison. Jacoby Brissett makes it. Elijah Higgins makes it. So that makes sense as how McBride wouldn't. Okay. It's a balanced build. A lot of Zonovan Knight captain up top. Number 4, Kevontae Turpin captain. CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams, Jacoby Brissett, Zonovan Knight, Dak Prescott. So Turpin captain was in our cash game build DTR data. Now it's coming up as a sim-friendly lineup here, leaving only $200 on the table. And number 5, Javonte Williams captain, only 2 dupes expected on this. Trey McBride, Jacoby Brissett, Zonovan Knight, Brandon Aubrey makes it, and Michael Wilson. So a flat fade to the pass game here. You get a kicker, you get an RB. You're fading. We're really not fading much of the Cardinals. We're getting the QB, we're getting Trey McBride, we're getting Zonovan Knight. But you really are fading a lot of the key parts here with Dak and CeeDee Lamb. So again, this is what I'm trying to make the point about, guys. Like, it's not really about like what you think is the best plays on a slate for showdowns. I think overall for how these slates look, like just being contrarian, and I've said it a bunch of times, there was a period where I was playing contrarian lineups every slate, and then it got to be a little bit too much for me to withstand bankroll-wise, but I had a couple slates where I was like really bubbling up close to the surface, and I'd play on those slates, and a lot of my lineups would be the same as like a Ricky D who plays like contrarian every time, where if there's an underdog team on a Monday night slate, he'd play 5-1, onslaughts with that team that wasn't expected to win. That's what showdown winning looks like. It doesn't look like always just playing the best plays. It often looks like more like finding a unique angle that still ties into what the Vegas totals are, or just, flipping the board on the field. Let's just keep that in mind, because we're like at the halfway point of the year, and it seems like, and it's not me being mean, a lot of you guys, not a lot of you guys, some of you guys come in, it's like you're giving me takes where it's like we got to evolve at this point and understand where the field is. And being mindful in showdowns that like your super chalky builds, or even your very specific builds, like that one guy where it's a little bit like more contrarian, but it's like you're too fucking locked in on your one thought process. It's not how you win at showdowns. Like I'll say that. The best wins I've had in showdowns are just making a stand of like, you know what? Everybody's going to play T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. I'm just going to play one of T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. And that's it. And that's what got me first place for 25K. It was a chop, but it's like, that still is what helps in a showdown. A week before that, I'd played a Fields 5-1 when nobody wanted to play him going into New England. That also was very close to hitting and was a very profitable slate too. So that's just kind of what showdowns are. And I think, for main slates, you want to play more to like these guys are the best plays, and I can't imagine them failing. That's fine. That's usually how these slates go. For showdowns, not so much. Very much not so much. Showdowns are non-logical. That's true. Got to leave 3K on the table and all 150 like a true alpha. I mean, frankly, if you just played, and Nolan will probably know this better than most, if you just played all the best lineups that leave 2K on the table in a showdown over and over again, you wouldn't be playing the plays you would want to play if you were hand building, but you'd probably win more money because not enough people do that every slate. So that's that. Took the under on Zonovan Knight rush attempts. I don't know that I love that. I mean, the only way that they don't get there is that he doesn't get there in particular, I think, in terms of rush attempts, not success, is just like the Cowboys completely destroy them through the air and they don't get any success going on offense. But I don't think that's likely, personally. But prop bets are prop bets, whatever. All right, your top 150 or your top lineups right now, according to stochastic data here. Again, no interference from me, just their data. We got Javonte Williams at number 1. So we are seeing a lot of RB captains coming up across ETR and stochastic sims. Javonte Williams, Cardinals D, Cowboys D. Both defenses make it, so this is why as well. I would not ever advocate ruling out both defenses, even if you want to knock down the projection, like the stochastic CEO Tom did when he won over 100K in a showdown slate. Knock him down to half point. Knock him down a full point if you want, but don't rule out defenses entirely because I think that's still a way you win money on a slate where nobody's playing defenses. Jacoby Brissett makes it. Marvin Harrison makes it. Trey McBride makes it. So pretty chalky lineup, I would say, in terms of the players within it, but you're fading the other highly owned chalk with Dak Prescott. You're fading CeeDee Lamb is going to be really chalky, and you're playing both defenses. So a 48.2 salary as well, leaving money on the table. That's your top ROI lineup according to Stochastic. Number 2, my boy Trey McBride in the thumbnail. We got Cardinals D. CeeDee Lamb makes it. Dak Prescott makes it. DeMercado makes it. It's a little bit tough. He's really been out of the timeshare at RB at this point, but obviously could flip in a given game. I just don't know that I want to play a lot of DeMercado. And Jacoby Brissett in this lineup. So McBride, Cardinals D, Lamb, Prescott, DeMercado, and Brissett at number 2, leaving 300 on the table is enough to theoretically get it unique. Number 3, Marvin Harrison, captain. Cardinals D, Chad Ryland makes it. Jacoby Brissett, Javonte Williams, Trey McBride. So we're not playing the popular kicker. We're playing the other one. Cardinals onslaught build, that'll make you unique too. Leaving 1,400 on the table too. We got a lot of levers going for uniqueness on this one. And look, and I think there's a world where the Cowboys disappoint today. Like, defensively, just looking at the stuff, and if you guys have my data sheet, you can see it. It's like all green going against Dallas's defense. A lot of yellow, a lot of orange, a lot of red. Going against the Cardinals, it does mean the Cowboys can't find success, but maybe Denver put some stuff on film against Dallas that the Cardinals can seize on. There's worlds where Dallas fails, and I do think for people out there, your first thought's going to be like, there's no way Dallas fails. And like, I think there's some, especially again, if you're playing, a bunch of lineups here, if you're mass multi-entering, even a 20 max, let alone 150, just playing some lineups where the Cowboys fail is important. Number 4, Cardinals D at captain. You're seeing that come into fruition here a little bit. Dak Prescott, George Pickens, Jacoby Brissett, Jake Ferguson, Marvin Harrison Jr. So you're getting some of the good players in. You are fading CeeDee Lamb, you're fading McBride, and you're playing Cardinals D at captain, but that's enough to get you unique and maybe finish atop the board if it breaks a certain way. And number 5 is Elijah Higgins, captain. That's pretty thin, so we got to get a lot of studs here. Dak Prescott, George Pickens, Jacoby Brissett, Javonte Williams, Trey McBride. So you're getting all the studs. Higgins at captain, still correlated with Jacoby Brissett. I get how that works, even though it would not feel the most fun to play a guy like Elijah Higgins at captain. But that's the kind of time you do it, though, when you get all the best players potentially in a lineup, and you're still leaving money on the table, so you're not going to be in a dupe fest. I get why that lineup comes up. Overall, your highest ROIs, Amari DeMercado at captain. I think this is mostly the stochastic, longer-term projection set favoring DeMercado and not recognizing the fact that I don't believe he played. He might have played 3 snaps last game. He played 0 snaps last game, 3 the game before that. It's going the wrong way for DeMercado, but I guess he could come back in today, somehow pass up 2 RBs that seem to be ahead of him. I just don't think it should be a 59% ROI at captain. And I don't think he should make this many lineups, like, but we'll see. Cardinals D, 51% ROI at captain as well. So when that hits, you win all the money basically, even though I'm sure it's not hitting very often. Amari DiMercado, a 16% ROI in the flex. So DiMercado, 2 of our top 3 ROIs here, according to Stochastic data. Elijah Higgins, 13% ROI at captain. That I get a little bit more. He's going to be out there a decent amount versus a shitty pass defense, and you can also cram in all the star players with him. Cowboys D at captain, your number 5 ROI here, a 10% positive ROI for them. Cardinals D in the flex, 6% ROI. And Trey McBride at captain, a 6% ROI there. Hunter Lukey coming along as well, 1.1% ROI at captain. I don't know what it would take to play him at captain, but that's a sim. That's how that works. Overall, your top exposed players, Jacoby Brissett, 59% of lineups have him in the flex. That is 5% more in the field. Dak Prescott, 51% of lineups have him in the flex. It's a slight fade there. We'll see what we get at captain. Trey McBride, 47% exposure. Fields at 38 in the flex, so that's a pretty decent stand. In favor of my boy, Trey McBride, I would have him in every lineup, I think. If I really had to choose between having him in every one or having him in none. CeeDee Lamb, 37% exposure in the flex, basically flat with the field and their ownership. And Javonte Williams, a little bit of a fade here, 33% in the flex, Fields at 35. Highest owned captains, Trey McBride, 27% exposure, Fields at 11, so a really big stand in favor of him. Jacoby Brissett, the sim apparently doesn't know he's going to throw 3 interceptions today and leave the game, I think is what that guy was saying. 23% exposure for Brissett at captain, Fields at 14, so really big stands on our Arizona pass game here, which I support because the Arizona pass offense has like the best matchup they'll have this year, basically. So this is how I want to play it too. CeeDee Lamb, 11% exposure, Fields at 16. Slight fade here, but he's coming up a lot. Marvin Harrison, you're getting at 9%, Fields at 5. So again, favoring that Cardinals passing attack. And Dak Prescott here, we got 7% here, Fields at 17. So everybody's going to play the Cowboys passing attack. The sim is telling you to play a little bit less. Overall, your highest leverage plays, getting Cardinals D, 22% more in the field in the flex. You're playing the Cardinals D 31% of the time in the flex. This is exactly what I was saying. The sim is giving me what I would like to have. So that's that. Number 2, Trey McBride, 15% more in the field at captain. We already know that. Brissett, same thing, 9% more at captain. DiMercado, I agree with this one the least. 9% leverage in the flex. Only 11% overall, though, so I'd prepare to lose that money personally with DiMercado. Seems like he's entirely lost the trust of this coaching staff. But if he somehow gets back in and plays snaps again, sure. Trey McBride, 9% leverage in the flex as well. So McBride, your highest leverage guy. And I think he's the best play in the slate too. So me and Stochastic. Shaking hands. There we go. Negative, which is not how you shake hands, but unfortunately, I only have one set of hands. Negative leverage. Fade on Brandon Aubrey here. Only 13% exposure overall. Fields at 28. Field loves to play Brandon Aubrey. I agree with that part. Zonovan Knight, negative 14% leverage. Wow, Stochastic only wants 17%. Fields at 31. If I had to guess, they're giving you less Zonovan Knight, maybe more. No, they're giving you less Carter. So it seems like they're just shaving a little bit off of Zonovan Knight and Michael Carter and then giving some of that to DiMercado, which is fair given the fact that I suppose the backfield could flip. It just seems like it'd be hard to expect that. Dak Prescott, negative 11% leverage at captain. We already saw that. Jaden Blue, negative 8% leverage in the flex. He's barely being played by Stochastic. Only 2% exposure there. Kevontae Turpin, negative 7% leverage. Stochastic's at 12% in the flex. Fields at 19. So fading some guys here that I like. I'd say Zonovan Knight, I don't think it's a bad play. A little bit overpriced, though. Brandon Aubrey, I have no issue with. Dak, I get why you fade him here at captain, but you got to make some tough choices, I think, on this slate. We'll do a hand build here. We'll close it out with my 3 ways to get unique. I love the callback into 3 picks. I mean, it's going to happen. So, like, how I need to remember this so that I can then go, oh, wow, Jacoby Brissett threw 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. And I can then remember how wrong that guy was. And I can remember that that's gambling over and over again. I don't really need it, but I really just, callbacks are important for this kind of content. Ceiling Marv spot, it is. It certainly is. I mean, it's a ceiling McBride spot too, but Marv going to get his downfield targets if he converts them. Could be a huge day. Could shake hands with the puppet. I could shake hands with the puppet. That would also be difficult to do given that requires a hand. All right, let's pull up a lineup here for me. I am going to go Brissett, captain. Again, I've as hopefully has been clear throughout this video. I think he's a very strong play. Trey McBride I like a lot as well. Would be happy to flip that too, but I'm actually going to go with Harrison too. We're going to go with a Arizona passing attack, getting production going. We're going to also go with drives stalling out for the Cowboys, some early, and this might not mean the Cowboys make a lineup, but and that's been an issue I've had in the past where I've called sack heavy games. I didn't switch the screen. Sorry, guys. I've called sack heavy games in the past, pause. But also, like, I've called games where the QB gets hit a lot and, like, haven't gotten paid off overall. I got it. I got it, Lee. I got it before you put the chat in. I've gotten this in spots before. Like, I've called the way it works well, but the defense still didn't make the winning lineup. Again, including that Commanders game on Monday night, where it's like, okay, I think they could maybe get some homes a little bit. They did. That said, for Cowboys D, for this build, I'm going to put them in, but you could just play the same outcome here, where it's like, okay, the Cowboys are stopping the Cardinals early. The Cardinals have to pass more late. But in the beginning of the game, the Cowboys are maybe dominating field position and not punching in touchdowns. That's why I'm going Brandon Aubrey paired with the Cowboys D. I think I've actually tried to make this exact same logic before in a slate, though I forgot which one it was. We've got 10-5 left. Can't afford Lamb. Could afford Dak. Yeah, apparently whenever you touch a tab on StreamYard, it makes the lip sync, the video goes out of sync. It's one of my least favorite things about StreamYard, but it is what it is. I appreciate telling me again, though, because I've been aware for a fucking month and a half. They updated their software and made it worse. All right, I think we could go Javonte, and we might be unique enough, but I'm actually going to go down a little bit further and go George Pickens here. It will hope production goes through Pickens for the most part. We don't get the run game there, and that's that. And we got large contest here, 25% to first, negative 41% ROI. All right, you know what? Is it because I faded? Is it because I went to Pickens? The sim sometimes hates when you leave too much salary on the table and you can play a better guy. And that's usually like a way to play showdowns, and it drives me fucking nuts. But let's try to put in a Javonte lineup here instead of Pickens. All right, 35% ROI. So didn't like me leaving that much money on the table, but I would still think like the basic logic for a lineup like this is that Aubrey and Cowboys are at a particular price point. There's a particular game script where they hit. So you just want to get one Cowboy who scores enough to make up for the yardage that's kind of left behind by me not playing the Cowboys at all. So like you could play in this build, you could play Dak, you could play Javonte, you could play Pickens, you go all the way down and play Jake Ferguson. But this happens a lot as well where basically, like, if you leave too much salary and projection on the table, it just thinks you can't win, even though it's, like, entirely plausible that Jake Ferguson could outscore these top two guys. It just won't give me good ROIs on it. Anyway, that's that. Let's see. I do look at one. Yeah, we'll look at one for Dak, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are still, even after we've talked incessantly about the chalk, and everybody wants to play the Dallas pass game, I'm sure you guys still want to play some Dallas pass game. So let's go to that real fast, and then I am going to give you guys my 3 ways to get unique, and we are done. I need to make these videos shorter at some point, though. Today is not the day. All right, so if you're playing Dak at captain, Dak, Pickens, Brissett, Turpin, McBride, Zay Jones, the main thing that I would assume is that you're going to fade one of Pickens or Lamb, most likely. So this one you're fading Lamb. Number 2, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Amari DiMercado. Again, the sim loves DiMercado. Pickens, Turpin, Trey McBride. So in this one, you're getting unique by playing all 3 of the Cowboys. So there you go. You want to jam them in. That's really jam them in. Dak Prescott, George Pickens, Jacoby Brissett, Jalen Tolbert, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride. Yeah, I mean, look, I still think the main thing would be you're either playing all the Cowboys or you're playing a little bit less of the Cowboys than you would like to, is most likely the logic here. And then we got run the one with Dak. That's going to be all the salary, so I don't think it would look good, but I'll go back the single lineup sim and we'll run it with Dak, and then I am done. I feel like you guys are like my child where you're just asking me for more and more, and I want to be done with the video. I got to do NBA in an hour, and if you want my NBA takes, guys, 2 p.m. Eastern today, Splash Play Bets channel or on the NBA playlist on the Splash Play Pod channel. You can find it on there. If you're watching on Twitter, you also see it. Go through there too, because I only have one Twitter handle, and Lord knows I do not want to pay for a second. All right, there you go, 24% ROI. So leaving $100 on the table, and we got a Brissett, McBride, Harrison, Aubrey, Cowboys, Dak Prescott lineup. I don't mind that. Really do think that Dak or Javonte like you're capturing, kind of hoping to capture all of the pass game or capture all of the run game. Those work. But again, this spot to me should just be like, if you like this lineup like I do, you just play Dak, you play Javonte, you play Pickens, you play Ferguson. And that's that. Just play all of them and hope that one of them kind of works in this lineup hits. But that's how I view it. I appreciate the kind words. Still, I'm a machine. I try my best. I'm on a 7-day-a-week schedule right now, which is tough, but I love what I do, and you guys are, again, helping me by doing the affiliate stuff, clicking the likes, so please keep doing that. If you want to see more of this content, I'm going to give you guys my 3 ways to get unique, but before I do that, I have to shill. Please enjoy the content, but if you do or get value out of it, if you're just going to fade me, please hit the like button, please subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. I'm just one dude showing you my gambling across the NFL, across the NBA, and I prepare as hard as I can. I also try to push back when I think people out there are saying things that are not the most well-reasoned, and of course, that's what the channel is. It's not just about patting ourselves in the back and going, we're going to win every day, because that's not how DFS works. It's a war of attrition, guys, and we're going to win that war. And I had, feeling good. Again, I had a really good weekend with my takes, so let's carry that momentum forward. Check out Stochastic as well, 15% off, link down below. I will be on the Live Before Lock show with Lofty today at 7:15 Eastern, so please do check that out. And of course, the promo code SPLASH gets you 15% off in perpetuity. All the cheap stuff, just their data, lineup generator, the expensive stuff like the Sims packages for all the sports, it's all 15% off, so please do check that out. Click the link and go over there. And of course, join the channel. You get access to a premium video every week. You get my data sheet, which is really important for helping people understand. Our guy Heel Push apparently used it, had a nice day for himself in NFL. I really do think if you guys use my data, even if you don't listen to me, you'll probably do well for yourself. So join the show, join the channel, support the show, and get in the mix here. All right. 3 ways to get unique. Number 1 would be for me. I really think it's fading parts of the Dallas pass game. I think even if you want to play like all of it, there's just really concentrated chalk around Dak and CD, Dak CD plus Brissett. I think you can make a rule right away to play like max 2 out of that 3 and might be enough to get unique, but just being mindful of like not playing endlessly Dallas pass game, Cardinals pass game, like just get some RBs in the mix, get some defense, get some kickers in. That's going to be a part of it. This feels like a cheat now because I just said it, but number 2, do you play some defenses? We saw the Cardinals D coming up 30% owned by Stochastic. Cowboys D, also decent ROI on it. That's how defenses work when nobody's playing them. Like, ironically, the time when like everybody wants to play defense, usually not when you want to play defense. When it's a shootout spot, nobody's going to play defense. That's when the defense has the most upside, doesn't get played very much. If the Commanders D had won money on Monday and they didn't, so like you go, oh, well, they didn't. I get it. But like if they had won money, if they had held up over the course of that game, nobody was fucking playing it. Like you were on an island. And that's sort of what happens here. If you get that lucky outcome, the variance works in your favor. Even if the game still shoots out, like a defense can still make it. Again, the Chargers yesterday put up a ton of points. Titans D scored enough points to win you a slate. That's sort of how that goes. Third way to get unique. I like onslaught builds always, and the fact they're not coming up naturally the projection set, I think they get a little bit under-owned. I still think the public's probably going to play some Cowboys onslaughts because, like, I think people think the Cowboys are good when in reality they're just like, they're a really fun fantasy team. They're actually a really bad football team. They're like Jameis Winston if he were a football team. But people are going to overplay them, I think, in that respect. They will probably get results today because they have a 28-point total, but it could be the kickers going there. I don't love Javonte because of the matchup, but it could be Javonte. There's a lot of ways that Dallas can score points. It isn't just Dak throwing for 1,000,000 yards and they all go to the guys that people love to play on the Cowboys. So just keep that in mind. I think if you're playing Cowboy stacks, be more open to your Cavante Turpins, even Jake Ferguson, who's going to be a little bit of a forgotten man with his target share coming down lately. There are ways to get unique here. I just don't think a lot of people are going to do those things. But that's the slate, guys. I appreciate all you guys being here. Again, one more ask, hit that like button and subscribe. I'll be back in 1 hour on the Splash Play Bets channel for my NBA video today. It should be a fun one there. NBA's also been going pretty well. Using some more of the updated rates for this year, just focusing on this year's projection more so, as opposed to the longer-term sample size. So it's going to give us some unique stuff for NBA, so check that out. Of course, make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, and it's really important, especially if you are one of those people that's like grasping at straws and you think that predicting Jacoby Brissett's going to get 3 picks is your way out of the hole. Just make sure to play within your bankroll. Be smart about it. I know this time of year, especially when all the sports are going, I feel it for myself. If the slate goes well, I'm like, sick, I could blow this on NBA now. Or if a slate goes poorly, it's like, well, fuck, now I need to deposit more for NFL and NBA. It's not fun, but that's sort of what this is. I really strongly believe, like, if you treat it like a war of attrition, don't spend all your money, don't burn your bankroll at a high rate every day, you'll do better for yourself. So that's me from the heart, because I think with NFL and NBA crossover, you get more people chasing, and just be smart when you're chasing. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the channel at Splash Play Pod, whether it is on Twitter or on YouTube. NBA coming up at 2 p.m. Me on Live Before Lock with Laffy for this Showdown slate as well, 7:15. Check those out. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And bye-bye. And please don't throw 3 picks, Jacoby Brissett. Please, if you throw 3 picks, I'm going to fucking cry. All right. Bye, guys.